Happy Thursday, everyone. My name is Kim Hamer. I'm so happy to be here because today we are going to talk about, or I'm going to talk about, I'm going to answer the question that I get asked the most all the time as I work with managers and employees who are trying to manage employees who are dealing with cancer or loss or even total team grief from the death of an employee. So that's what we're going to do today. This is going to be the number one video, I am sure, that is going to go viral on LinkedIn because everybody wants to know what to say and nobody's really clear on what to say, and people are really uncomfortable. So, look, y'all, if you want to unfollow me after this, if you don't like me because the way my hair is, or because I have red lipstick on, or because my skin is brown, I don't care. I just want you to watch this video, take away the one lesson in it, and go about your life and making sure that you are really saying the right thing to somebody in crisis. Now, I focus on death and cancer, but really all these things this one phrase I'm going to teach you can work for anybody in any situation. But I'm not going to tell you the exact phrase. What I am going to do is I'm going to tell you first what not to say, and then we will get to what to say. So again, my name is Kim Hamer, and I didn't come to this work by choice. It wasn't like one day I woke up and said, "Hey, I'm going to teach managers how to be better managers when their teams are in crisis." I came to it because I was a cancer caregiver, and then I became a widow. My husband died at the age of 44 from cancer. When he was first diagnosed, people kept saying to us, "Oh my God, if you need anything, let me know. If you need anything, let me know." And at first that felt like such a helpful phrase. It really did because so many people were saying it. We felt loved and cared for, and the community's got our back. But then within a couple days, I realized how unhelpful that phrase was. And through his first entanglement with cancer, his second entanglement with cancer, and his death, I realized how incredibly unhelpful that phrase is. So that's sort of a little quick thing of my story. I then jumped back into HR, and I thought that, businesses must know how to manage employees dealing with cancer or loss. And I found that what I found on the outside, when most people don't know what to say or what to do, was the same thing in businesses. And so I set out to change that. I set out to help managers understand how to work with their employees in a way that's really powerful and helpful, that's productive as well as empathetic. Because I think oftentimes managers feel like they're on this line. Their employee has cancer, but they still have to meet KPIs. So how do you balance that as a manager? And that's what I work on showing managers how to do. So let's just cut right to the chase. Let's cut to the phrase. Let's get to why it is the least helpful thing that you will ever say, that you can ever say, and what to say instead. All right. So the phrase that you never, ever, ever want to say to an employee, friend, neighbor, random person on the street, if you're trying to be helpful, is, "If you need anything, let me know." Now, I know you've said it. I used to say it all the time. And even now, it's a little hard not to say. It just kind of rolls right off the tongue. It feels like you're being really helpful, and in that moment, you really do mean it. But there's 4 reasons why that phrase is the least helpful thing you can say. To demonstrate the first reason, I want you to just imagine that something great has just happened to you, that you just got engaged, maybe you just had a baby, you just bought a house or a new car, you've been on this fantastic vacation, you're about to retire. Something fantastic and exciting is happening to you. You're graduating, you're getting in your MBA, whatever it is. And you go to lunch with 6 of your friends. And they all know this exciting thing has happened to you. And nobody says anything. No one says congratulations. No one says, "Oh my God, show me the pictures." No one says, "Oh my God, I'm so proud of you." No one acknowledges what happened. It feels pretty crappy. Some people may feel really like gross and sad. Other people will get really angry. But the point is, you, with this great thing that's happened, you want to be witnessed. You want somebody to tell you, oh my gosh, that's so great. You want someone to celebrate with you. Well, believe it or not, the same thing happens when it comes to a life crisis. Most people go into wanting to fix it or to kind of drop these kind of like, hey, just do this, and everything will be fine. But we all want to we all want, when we're in that moment of crisis, we want someone to look at us and say, holy cow, that sucks. We don't need people sitting in it with us. We don't need the pity, but you just want to be witnessed. We all want to be witnessed. Think about when you come home from work and you've had a really bad day, right? You just want someone to say, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry you had a bad day." So that phrase, "If you need anything, let me know," doesn't witness anybody. It moves immediately into action, and it moves immediately into unhelpful action. So that's the first reason. So what you want to I'll tell you what you want to do instead later. The second reason it's not helpful is, y'all, what's anything? What is anything? I had a toddler when my husband was first diagnosed with cancer. Did anything mean that you were going to take your brand new, just cleaned BMW up to preschool to pick up my vomiting toddler? Or did you mean that you'd be happy to drop off a six-pack of beer for my husband? Right? What is anything? It's too big a word. It's indefinable. It's undefinable, indefinable, undefinable. We'll go with undefinable. You can't figure out what anything is. It's too big. So that's the second reason it's not helpful. The third reason it's not helpful is that word anything. You have now just put the pressure on the person you're trying to help to figure out what anything is. And in the moment, I can tell you from my own personal experience, I didn't know what anything was until I was right on top of it. I didn't know that I needed someone to get me pasta until the water was boiling and I went to the cabinet to get pasta and I didn't have any. I didn't know I needed someone to pick up my kids from school until I was halfway up to picking up my husband at the cancer treatment center. I didn't know what I needed until the exact moment that I needed it. And then I had a list in my head of all these people who said, if you need anything, let me know. But the comment came so often, I couldn't even think of a specific person to even call and ask. Which brings me to the third reason. Oh, wait, that's two. We get one, two, three. Brings me to the fourth reason why it's not helpful. I don't know about you, but I'm not particularly good at asking for help when I really need it, when I'm feeling vulnerable and desperate. And so now with that phrase, what you have done is you have now put the pressure on the person who is feeling vulnerable, terrified, their life has been turned upside down, nothing is normal. And now you're putting the pressure on them to call you, to ask you to do one thing for them that you may not have meant when you said anything. Do you follow me? You're asking the person who's in crisis to ask you to do something that you may not have meant when you said anything, because we all know you don't mean anything. In the moment when you offer, you mean anything, but then 5 minutes later, you really don't mean anything, right? You have some ideas of what you can do or what you're willing to do. So you have now, with that phrase, it's a lazy person's phrase. And the only time it's really a lazy person's phrase is if you know that this is what it's doing to them, and you say it anyway. So I'm sure most of you are never going to use this phrase again because you now understand how incredibly unhelpful it is. You've put the pressure. Oh, you know what? Shoot. I did forget number three. Number three is now you put the pressure on them to try to figure out what they need. No, I didn't. I remembered that part. Okay, good. I'm not crazy. I mean, I am crazy, but you know what I mean. Um, so so that's why it's not helpful. You have just put all the pressure on the person who is desperate, tired, exhausted, overwhelmed. The floor has become the ceiling. The windows have become the floor. Their world is completely turned upside down. And you've put the pressure on them to, one, figure out what it is they need. And then to two, to have the courage to call you and ask. Right. And even if they do call you and ask, I mean, they're terrified that you're going to say no. They're terrified that you're not gonna be able to do what they need you to do. Why would anybody in their right mind put themselves in that vulnerable position of rejection? No one's going to. So that's why that friend or that colleague who you keep saying to has never called you. The only time this phrase is really, really helpful is when it's your bestest, friend. You've known each other since kindergarten and you can read each other's minds, because that's the person that will call you and she'll say, "Hey, I need this." And you're going to be like, "Okay, got it." But for the rest of us, that's the least helpful thing you can say. And it's hard. So I know you've said it. So take that stick, give yourself a whack on the back, and then throw the stick out, because now you're going to learn what to say instead. And you didn't know any better. We don't teach this in schools. We don't teach this. It's just something that we don't teach. I mean, think about how we spoke about cancer 50 years ago. It was like, "Oh my God, did you hear she has cancer?" Right? We've come a long way in what we're willing to talk about and our vulnerability, but we still haven't caught up with our phrases and what we're supposed to say or do when that happen when those things happen to people we care about. So there's two parts to what to say. The first thing is acknowledge what is happening in their lives. It goes back to that witnessing, making sure that you just say, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Now, there are some people out there, this has happened a couple times to me, and it strikes me as very odd, where they say, "Well, it's not your fault." And that's not how I meant that I'm sorry. I didn't mean like I'm sorry that I tripped you and now you fell and then you found out you had cancer. I don't mean that. I mean, I'm sorry that this is your experience. So I know it doesn't feel like a great phrase. I know it feels like it's not doing enough and you're not in there and you're not helping. And it's true. You're not doing enough with that phrase. You're not in there. You're not helping. That's not what the point of the phrase is. The point of the phrase is to acknowledge what they're going through. Something I used to love that people used to say to me is they would just their eyes would get big and they would be like, "I don't know what to say." Right? I mean, it's so meaningful, because what you're saying when you say that phrase is what's happening to you leaves me speechless. I don't have any words. I'm shocked. I'm saddened. I'm upset that this is happening to you. It's a sweet phrase to say. So you want to find a phrase where you acknowledge what they're going through. Now, there are a lot of you who are huggers out there. You love to kind of jump in and hug. I think I'm a hugger. I am a hugger. I like hugging. Um, but I'm cautious about it, because sometimes when people come in and deliver news to you like this, especially if you're at work, depending on your relationship with your employee, hugging may not be appropriate. And sometimes we hug as a way to stop emotions instead of as a way to release emotions. And what you wanna, look, this they're being diagnosed, or their person dying, or an employee dying is an emotional thing. So you wanna be careful that you're not tamping down someone's emotions, that you're not halting them to emotions. Another way that we often halt people to emotions is we offer them tissues. I am a big proponent. Do not offer someone tissues. I know you're all thinking, "But they're crying, but they're upset, and it's a gesture of like support." It is not actually a gesture of support. It is a gesture of stop the emotion that's happening right now. Stop the tears. So if you're going to be in a setting where you're going to cry, leave the tissues out on the table, or give them to the person before you make your announcement, but don't stop, because it's a signal of they have to remove themselves from their emotion, and they have to think about picking up the tissue and dotting their I's, so it takes them away from that emotional moment, and you want to keep them in that emotional moment. It's important that people feel their emotions until their emotions are out of them. So, okay. So back to I get a little tangent there. So don't offer tissues, and be careful when you hug. If a person there is standing there and sobbing and you want to give them a shoulder to cry on, that's fine. If you want to stop them from crying, that's not fine. Okay. So say what you're going to say and then hug them if you feel like they need to. I heard the sweetest story the other day. I was talking to a person who went through cancer, and she was delivered, and she psyched herself up. She's going to deliver this news. I'm going to tell him my plan. I'm going to go in. It's all going to be fine. And she walked in, she delivered the news, and she started crying. And her boss got up from the side of the desk and came over and just held her and just let her sob, because this was really the first time that she had delivered the news to anybody outside of her family. And for her, it was becoming more real. And so if that's your situation, then, oh my gosh, do it. Hug them, hold them, don't shush them. All right, so give them a moment to feel heard or seen. That's the most important. That is the point of this, is give them the moment to feel, okay, I see you, I hear you. I'm sorry this is happening to you. And the second thing is offer specific help. Now you're probably saying, well, Kim, that's great, but what do I do? That's why I'm here, for you to tell me what to do. Well, the bad news is I'm not going to tell you exactly what to do because that varies from person to person. But the good news is I'm going to tell you how to figure out what to do. And that is, we all have our helping superpowers. We're really good at helping. We're really good at helping. We're just unaware that there are superpowers. Do not ask me to cook you a meal or even to bring you a meal. I'm not good. I can't like go to Costco and like find all these things and make a meal and bring it to you, or even bring all the things to you so you can make your own meal. I'm not good at that. But something I'm really good at, I'm good at grocery shopping. And what I mean by that is I will track down the general manager, find out whatever item it is you need, when it's coming in, and I will be there to meet that 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 thing. Oh my God, I can't feel I'm spacing out on the truck. Holy cow. I will be there to meet the truck to make sure that I can get that thing for you. I'm a really good grocery shopper. I hunt things down. I find them in weird little places. That's one of my superpowers. Another one of my superpowers, I love a clean kitchen. I do. I love going to bed with a clean kitchen, so I love cleaning my kitchen every night. Now, you're thinking, "Kim, clean kitchen, who cares?" But it's something that I like doing. It brings me joy, and it's something that I can offer to do to someone else because it could bring them joy. So your helping superpower is powers is probably thing are probably things that you like to do, that you do naturally on a regular basis, that you just enjoy doing. Some people love folding laundry. Good on them. They can go over and fold their friends' laundry. Some people love making pie charts, right? They love that whole thing about putting in the data and seeing how they can best figure out how to best present the information. Some people love pivot tables. And if you're at work and you know that the person who's dealing with cancer is not a fan of pie charts, they often come to you for help. That's a way that you can help them. It's something you can do that you're really good at work, and everyone knows that you're good at, and it's a way you can support them. So think about your own helping superpowers. Find those. Those are the things that you don't think anything of doing. Maybe you like to keep your car clean. Maybe that's your thing. But it's never too small. That's the point I want to make. Figure out what your helping superpower is and offer it. And then offer it more than once. And I know people say, well, why would I offer it more than once? Because y'all, that person who you're talking to does not have a full deck of cards in there, right? Their cards flew out the minute they heard they had cancer. Cards flew out the minute their child died. Cards flew out the minute their parent died, the minute their partner died, right? If you're dealing with a team, y'all are not dealing with full decks of cards right now. So the reason you want to offer more than once is so that they remember. Now, don't hound them. Don't offer every single day. That's annoying. But offer on a cadence that works every 4 days, once a week. When you're running to the store, every time you're running to the store, call them up. The beauty of offering more than once and offering specifically what you're willing to do is you're providing a safety net for the person who's in crisis. It doesn't have to be a big safety net. You're not there to catch the whole family and make sure they're all financially set and make the cancer go away. But it's a small safety net. It's one thing that they don't have to worry about, that they know who to call when they need it. And that's really powerful. What I found in my own journey is when people were specific about what they were willing to do and they offered more than once, sometimes I would call them for things that they didn't offer because I felt safe with them. I felt like if they couldn't, the rejection wouldn't have been so horrible. And if they couldn't do it, they could help me find someone who could. And that is exactly what happened every single time. There were times people couldn't do what I was asking them to do, but they were able to help me find someone or do something so that I was able to get what I needed. And I felt comfortable going to them because I knew that they really meant that they were willing to help. Because when someone says, if you need anything, let me know, some people use it as a toss off phrase and don't really mean it. Well, other people really, really do mean it. But the only thing is I couldn't tell the difference in my state of being a caregiver and especially as a widow. I couldn't tell the difference. So that's why you don't want to say, if you need anything, let me know. If you really care about this person, if you really want to help them, if you really want to be a safety net, if you really want to make them feel just a little bit better, be very, honor what they're going through and be very specific about what you can do and how you can help them. I know it doesn't feel great. I mean, we're great Americans. We're all about getting in there and doing it and getting it done and side hustles and, goals and meaning and, visions and passion and but we talk about it all the time as if it's an individual thing, right? As if we drive these things by ourselves. And I'm not here because I'm super strong or courageous. I am here because of the countless and countless and countless people who kept showing up with their little gifts. Y'all, that's why oh, there it is. So I wrote a book called 100 Acts of Love. They were little acts of love. These acts of love is what people did for us. And it mattered. It made a difference. It made the journey more bearable. Didn't take it away. It didn't take the pain away of losing a husband. It didn't take the pain away of watching my children grow up without their father, but it helped make it bearable. And that's what you want to think about when you want to support somebody who's dealing with a difficult time. Your job isn't to make it all go away and to fix it and to drop those, oh my God, I hate these phrases. Stay strong. You got this. We support you. Those are just one-offs, like the stay strong, you got this. One of my least favorite phrase, take care of yourself. No blank, Sherlock. I know I need to take care of myself. It's just like I got a lot of things going on in my life right now that makes it really hard. So when you're saying phrases like that, those are meaningless and they're really not helpful and they are actually sort of cruel because they really show that you are not willing to connect with that person and connect with what's happening with them. You're not really helpful. But that's a whole nother aside. In fact, if you want to know 4 other phrases never to say to anybody dealing with cancer, loss, or any type of, major life hiccup, you can download my free 5 things never to say to never say to an employee dealing with cancer, loss, and everything else. And on there, I have 4 other phrases never to say, why they're not good things to say, and what to say instead. And these phrases, I didn't just pull them out of the air. I interviewed 257 people for this. I interviewed cancer survivors, cancer widows, and widows from all different walks of life. And I believe, there were 3 other people who had accidents, like, life-changing accidents. And these were the top phrases they all agreed on that were like the worst things to say. So this comes from a little bit of research and understanding what what does not need to be said. That's a long way of saying that. So I will leave the link of that in the notes there. But yeah, y'all, look, you have incredible power. I know sometimes you probably don't feel that way. And especially when your friend is in crisis, you just want to do something to help. You just want to take it away from them and you can't. And that leaves you feeling powerless, or leaves all of us feeling powerless. But the reality is your power doesn't lie in taking everything away. Your power lies in showing up and doing little things and helping. That's where your power is. And that's what your friend, your colleague, your employee, your neighbor, that's what they need. They need you just to show up, to witness them, and to help them in a small little way. You really matter. That's the very last chapter in the book. You matter. Who you are and how you show up and what you are matters to the person in crisis. So please take that to heart and remember to show up. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for popping by. I really appreciate you. I'm glad you're here. And you don't have to hear me from me ever again. you know, but just make sure you never say, "If you need anything, let me know," because you really matter. All right, make it a great day. Bye.